Be so. Now, there is a row in Haringey over the council's flagship policy to redevelop 2 estates in partnership with a private company and build 6,400 homes. It's been the focus of criticism over fears that locals will be priced out of their communities. Tanjil Rashid has more.
The Northumberland Park estate in North London, moments away from Tottenham Hotspur's £1 billion new stadium, is also one of the most deprived areas in Britain. Haringey Council has developed a plan to regenerate it and the neighbouring Broadwater Farm estate, a 20-year project to build 6,400 homes worth £4 billion. 40% of these homes are slated to be affordable. The plan involves the council partnering with the property company Lend-Lease in a 50-50 venture known as the HDV, or Haringey Development Vehicle.
Do not gift people's houses to a private.
This has sparked protests about privatisation and what critics have called the social cleansing of the neighbourhood. The Labour-run council say cuts to their housing budget leave them with no choice but to enter into such an arrangement. There are now doubts about its future, though, after a reselection process has seen at least 17 Labour councillors either withdraw from May's council elections or find themselves deselected. Earlier this year, a resident of Northumberland Park told Sunday Politics London about her fears.
People have brought their families up here. People have got memories. It's not just a house. But that's not the concern of the council. It's just pure profit. And nothing they say is going to make me think any different about that.
The scheme is currently subject to a judicial review.
I'm joined now by Councillor Alan Strickland, Haringey's Cabinet Member for Housing until May, when he'll be stepping down, and by Aditya Chakrabortty, the Guardian's chief economics commentator who grew up near the Northumberland Park estate. Welcome to both of you. First of all, Alan, you heard there in that film the lady saying it's just about profit. Is that right?
Absolutely not. So this is fundamentally about tackling our 10,000 long waiting list, the 3,000 people in temporary accommodation, the unacceptable levels of poverty and unemployment in the Northumberland Park estate. And that's why we want to build new homes, why existing tenants are guaranteed replacement homes at the same rent, and why there'll be a new school, a new health centre and major jobs programmes. That's what it's about.
Right, Aditya, what's your problem?
There's no social housing target for any of the estates in the Haringey Development Vehicle. There's been precious little consultation. What consultation there has been on Haringey Council's own consultancy reports has been dire, so that 3/4 of the SAMs and neighbours on the Northumberland Park estate don't even know that there's going to be a demolition. Meanwhile, the council putting out papers which has got maps, colour-coded, which show streets, houses, flats which are going to be knocked down. We don't know what will replace them. We've just been given a very, very loose promise about 40% affordable, which, as everyone knows, in London doesn't mean affordable at all.
So you don't believe, Alan, when he says that all council tenants whose existing homes are demolished are guaranteed to be rehoused on the same terms?
Well, I've read the... Actually, I should thank Alan because he's spoilt a number of weekends for me because I've had to go through the paperwork put out by Haringey Council and actually read the difference between what the rhetoric is and what they have actually agreed to. And the actual plan is shot through with more get-out clauses than would keep David Blaine happy. So it doesn't include housing association tenants, it doesn't include people who already own their own places, so it doesn't include leaseholders, and it doesn't include people who are shopkeepers.
Well, let's put that to Alan. Is that true?
No.
Are there no guarantees for those groups of people? And if there are, why aren't they in your plan?
There are clear guarantees set out in our policy. And I know Aditya's raised the leaseholder issue before, so I checked the policy this morning. It's mentioned on page 2. So there are clear guarantees for tenants, for leaseholders.
Sorry, Alan. Section 5.44, I can actually quote you the paragraph, I know it so well by now. Section 5.44 of your members' agreement that you voted through this summer does not give those guarantees. It's shot through with get-out clauses. It also makes clear that all the promises you make do not apply to estates beyond Northumberland Park and a couple of the others in the first tranche.
Right.
So people on Broadwater Farm are not subject to those same promises.
Well, I think what I'm talking about is the very clear policy the Cabinet adopted that gives clear guarantees for estates that might be regenerated.
Yeah, you've got an estate renewal policy which is
there in black and white.
That's different from the policy you signed.
We have been very, very clear that trumps any other document, and our lawyer has made that very clear as well.
Can Lend-Lease be trusted to regenerate the estate in the way that you are certainly saying today?
Well, what most councils in London have done on big regeneration schemes is to sell land 100% to a developer, and then you only really have control through the planning committee. This, what we're proposing, is a 50-50 partnership. So half of the people around the table on that board will be people from the council. So we can't be forced to do anything. We have a lot of control into the future, and it puts the council in the driving seat rather than just playing second fiddle to a developer.
Which will not be run by the council. The council do not have majority control. They do not have the final control over this project.
And the problem is the track record isn't great, is it? Because if you look at Lend-Lease, and they were given the rights to develop an estate, Haygate in Southwark, for example, and there were only 82 social houses provided out of 1,200 that were demolished. How can you promise that won't happen again here?
Well, we made very clear to everybody who bid for this that we absolutely expect to see large amounts of affordable housing, new clinics, new schools and other things. And Lend-Lease have got a good track record of working with the public sector. And in fact, Lend-Lease have built several things for the BBC.
Where's your target for the social housing?
They're very clear that the 40% target is written through
There is not
all
a target
of
for
the
social
documents.
housing.
That's very, very clear.
That's a target for affordable
all
housing,
tenants
isn't it,
who
Alan?
live on the estate at the moment are guaranteed replacement home on the same terms.
Joe, the problem with
That's
this...
in black and white.
Hang on, don't talk over each other. Go on, then say your point.
Is that the way that Alan and his colleagues have approached this is shot through with contempt. Contempt for their colleagues who've written 2 reports for the scrutiny committee saying an immediate halt. Contempt for the MPs, both of them in the area have written letters calling for an immediate halt. Contempt for the people who live on the estate, such as Sam Leggatt, who didn't even know that this thing was happening until it was too late.
But isn't it your role to always criticise policies? Isn't this a genuine attempt by the council to actually meet, well, let me finish the question, to actually meet the needs of the housing crisis in London by doing something?
I'm from the same borough as Bambos. He's actually my MP, and I've written pieces in support of what Enfield Council has been doing on housing, which is trying to build housing in which the council has genuine control, which is commissioned by the council.
You're making it more difficult with these sorts of criticisms.
No, because I favour social housing for people, which is the thing that we have most dire need for in London.
Right, Bambos, who's right here?
Well, in Enfield we have got Housing Gateway, which is actually acquiring properties, using council money to acquire properties to house council tenants, and we plan to do that. Why? Because it takes pressure off the huge costs we face for temporary accommodation.
Right, but you are actually using money that the council is raising.
The council is raising, the council's borrowing the money to buy property.
Isn't that the problem, that actually councils need to have more powers to be able to borrow larger amounts of money so that they can invest in the sorts of housing schemes that are needed in places like Haringey without running into these sorts of problems?
I think we know why, for historical reasons, there's been a reluctance from central government, not just Conservative central government, actually.
Yeah, but should that change? Should that change, Markfield, because you've stripped council spending to the bone?
What I do think, I mean, I feel very sorry for the situation Alan finds himself in. You know, he's almost being punished for trying to actually deal with the housing crisis. And the truth is, I've been an MP 16 years. I was a councillor in Kensington and Chelsea in London. So essentially for 25 years, I've been involved in London politics as an elected politician. And there's always been a housing crisis, and it's got a lot worse.
Yeah.
And I think we need imaginative solutions, and rather than being held back by an ideology that says we must have X or, you know, percent of social housing.
We mustn't talk over the people that we're meant to be looking after.
No,
Isn't that right?
Right, but can I just come to a
that.
final question to Anna? The regeneration will drive up prices, won't they, for those who already own their own leases or pay commercial rents? And in that sense, you will end up driving them out of those neighbourhoods.
Well, as I said, if you live on one of those estates at the moment, you are guaranteed replacement home on the same terms. We're working hard. We've got a full-time team of staff out every day talking to tenants on these estates. It's not the case. We're not listening. And our desire to do something is driven by people saying, we need more homes, we need more jobs, please sort out the local school, please get us more health services. We're being driven by what residents are telling us.
Will you be reassured at all?
I'll be reassured when I see an actual document, which you haven't got, I think, which says, actually, we have got a social housing target, which is satisfactory, and we will actually have a genuine right to return, not a rhetorical right to return, which is completely undercut by the pieces of paper they sign off.
OK. Thank you to both of you.
Thank you.